The 1960s was dominated by the Vietnam War and dealings with Cuba. The Vietnam War was a continuation of America's policy of communist containment and phony wars, started by the Korean War. The Vietnamese War was between the northern communists backed by Russia and China, while the southern Democrats were backed by the Americans. America had a vested interest in the war since its beginnings in the 50s, and its first substantial forces were deployed in 1962 with 12,000 troops being sent. On August 2, 1964, the USS Maddox fired 3 rounds sworn off communist boats. They then exchanged fire with 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats. Another event occurred on August 4th. There is believed to have been engagement with the North Vietnamese Navy, but in truth were just American boats salvaging the wreckage from the August 2nd event. These two events combined are called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. After the incident, America's involvement in the war heavily increased and peaked in the late 60s and early 70s. At first, the US public was supportive of the war, but very quickly the mood turned sour, with many protests against the war and drafting. The other major event of the 60s was the Bay of the Pigs Cuban invasion, where American-trained Cuban guerrillas were sent to the Bay of the Pigs to try and take over communist Cuba, but it failed miserably. This was followed by the Cuban Missile Crisis, which almost led to the Cold War heating up, but was thankfully averted. Overall, the 1960s was a highly publicized and controversial time in foreign relations, and the 60s was highlighted by the highly unpopular Vietnam War, the failure that was the Bay of the Pigs, and the nearly destructive Cuban Missile Crisis.
Under the sea, in an octopus's garden, in the shade